Hello, hockey fans! Welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are almost to the All-Star break. It is so close. Normally Tuesday night is a crazy night for games all around the NHL. Not so much tonight. We have 3 games going on tonight. We will keep you up to date on all 3 of those. It's very possible that all 3 of them go final while we're on the air even. We've got some other stuff that we're talking about as well, both professionally. We've got a passing of a legend in the Blackhawks organization. But then also we've got some improvements happening over in the women's game. Hopefully we're going to see the Premier Hockey League start to take off a little bit. Some good things happening over there with the women. And then we'll just catch up on some of the things that happened over the weekend. IE Sports Radio was in the house for the Flyers, the Ducks and Coyotes over the weekend. So we'll break that down a little bit. And we kind of sort of had an EBUG sighting too over the weekend. All that and more coming up right here on the Neutral Zone. Do not go anywhere. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick, Zach Puplis, back with you here tonight. Yeah, hopefully we don't have any problems like we did last week. In case you missed it, or in case you are one of those people that listens later on in the week as a podcast, first of all, thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. But if you're going, hey, this is episode 62, and the most recent episode was episode 62 weeks ago, what the hell, man? What are you doing to me? Well, we were on air doing episode 61 last Tuesday night, and the server crashed. That's the easiest way to describe it. Just all of a sudden, everything shut down in the middle of doing the episode. And as a result, the Neutral Zone episode 61 is lost and gone forever. So sad. Stick taps all around for the lost episode 61. And we're moving on. Just like that, we're over it. How you doing, Zach?
I'm good, Adam. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm not sure what I'm operating on at this point. It's not... Okay, I didn't drink any caffeine before doing the show, but I'm... You know that buzz you get from having caffeine? I'm kind of on that buzz. I'm not sure from what, but I do know that when it's over, man, I'm going to crash. I'm feeling that tonight.
It's just adrenaline at this point.
So, sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, we'll call it adrenaline and we'll move on with it from there, I guess. Yeah, it's woo. But lots to get to. I mean, we're basically here. We're basically at the All-Star break. We've got the All-Star game and festivities later on this week as we have the wonderful silliness that is the NHL All-Star festivities, the 2 games that they'll be doing, well, 3 games really when it's all said and done, right? Because they do the divisions play each other and then the winners of the divisions play each other, and it's all fun and games and skill competitions and all those silly things.
Well, it's
Really, honestly, it's what they all should be at this point. I think Major League Baseball is the only one at this point that still has anything that tries to resemble its actual sport and its all-star festivities. Let's face it, the reason these things exist anymore is it gives the players a break partway through the season so that they can rest and regroup and then come back strong for the second half of the season. And then the true, superstars of the game, they get to show off a little bit. They get to show off their skills and have some fun. But the days of, long gone should be the days of the all-star games meaning things, all-star games, really the reason that they came about in the first place, as I'm dropping things, the reason they came about in the first place is so that fans on the West Coast could see East Coast players and vice versa. Before the days of nationally televised games or nationally broadcast games on the radio, you wouldn't get anything from those players. You wouldn't get to see or hear about those players other than in maybe a 5-second snippet of your local news,
Yeah.
So
You're right. I think only the MLB still has any kind of weight to those games, that's deciding home and away in the World Series still, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're the only ones that do anything of any weight. And it's something they got to work on and fix. Speaking of working on and fixing, you are not coming in the way you normally do. We're having some technical issues here. So, yeah. We can hear you. That's a good thing. We just can't hear you as well as we normally should. I will work on that during the break. In the meantime, we can hear you. So, without any further ado, now that we're 8 minutes into the show, let's give the breakdown of the night, shall we? Normally we've got a million games going on Tuesday nights. We've had upwards of 14 games going on Monday nights that we're trying to keep up with. Not this time. We've got all of 3 games going on tonight here on this Tuesday, January 31st. We've got the Kings and the Hurricanes in Carolina with 12 and a half minutes to go. Kings up 4-2. We've got a Canadian battle going on in Montreal. The Senators lead the Canadians 3-2. 13 minutes and change left to go in that one. And then in Columbus, we've got the Capitals leading the Blue Jackets 3-2 with just under 15 minutes left to go. And that's our entire roundup for the night. There's not a whole lot else going on in the NHL tonight.
Yeah, normally we have like 10 games going on.
Normally, yeah. Yeah, normally that's what's going on Tuesdays as I'm playing Sound Doctor here, trying to get Zach to come in a little louder. Taryn agrees in the chat, by the way, that he can barely hear you. And I'm seeing, it's for whatever reason, your mic is not getting picked up. And that's not good. We don't want that. Well, while we work on that, tell you what, we'll take a very early break at this point, and then we'll come back and reset up a little bit, and we'll fix your mic problem. If nothing else, we'll just bring your speaker over here, and we'll do it the old-fashioned way. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
The Spanish Top Flight is here on Wellington Sports Radio. From past champions like Barcelona and Atletico Madrid to current champions Real Madrid and every team in between trying to fight for Champions League glory and trying to fight against relegation. It's La Liga right here on Wellington Sports Radio.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone, everyone. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Zach Popoulos is along with us. We think we fixed the technical glitch, so now we should be able to hear Zach much more clearly. Let's test that. Zach, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Oh, my gosh, we can hear you. It's amazing how that worked. Modern technology, huh?
Right.
Of course, that does mean that now I have to play the echo game of, making you not come in on both mics instead of just the one. But that's my cross to bear. I'll take care of that.
Okay.
So where would you like to start things off now that we are kind of back into the groove of things a little bit here? By the way, you can follow along with us on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. I am at Adam_Karnick. Zach is at the Popoulos.
Actually, I think we have a little housekeeping to do.
You are right. We do. As I get that read pulled up, you are absolutely correct, good sir, that yes, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. IE Sports Radio is available for you on all of the major social platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at IE Sports Radio. That's how you find all of us. Or go to our website, iesportsradio.com. Larry B. has been hard at work revamping the website, getting it all taken care of and making it look really fresh. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout-out on every one of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And we want to thank our Patreon supporters now: Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. There we go. How did I do?
No, fantastic.
All right, there we go.
We kept the lights on for another week.
For another week. Hey, it's important to do. We got to keep the lights on. That way we can keep doing these things. Somebody's listening. Somebody's listening here anyway. All right, so I know Zach and Taryn is probably already just his counter is been going crazy already with the alternative references we've been making here early in the show. Well, we're going to just keep that rolling. Zach, I know you were very involved in the football conference championships that were going on over the weekend, but you noticed that there was a hockey correlation over the weekend, that a couple of them that you had some questions about. So let the class know, what questions do you have here?
Okay, so I don't know if you all know this, but with the Stanley Cup playoffs, when they get to the conference championship round, whoever wins it and advances to the Stanley Cup final, they each get a trophy themselves for winning the conference. Well, So the East, you've got the Prince of Wales Trophy. In the Western Conference, you've got the Clarence S. Campbell Trophy. So, or Campbell Soup Bowl, as it's affectionately known.
Yeah.
So, except there's a superstition that the captains aren't supposed to touch the trophies. Almost as if to say, if I can only touch one trophy, I want it to be Lord Stanley's Cup and not this, piddly conference trophy. And I noticed that over the weekend with football, there's no such similar superstition.
Yes. In the NFL, they'll just grab right on the bonus trivia that's not at all related to hockey. Do you know the names of the trophies in the NFL?
The Lamar Hunt Trophy is the AFC, and the NFC. I heard it over the weekend and it made total sense, but I can't come up with it right now.
It's George Halas.
Oh, duh. Papa Bear.
Indeed. Ding, 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 ding. Very good, Zach. Yes. Yeah, in the NFL, they have no problem. They'll grab those trophies and they'll pass them around and they celebrate. The NHL, it's a very different story. They'll bring out these gigantic trophies. I mean, the Prince of Wales trophy, my goodness, that sucker's huge. Every time I see it, it kind of reminds me of like something from the Mayan ruins or something like that. It's a big, big trophy.
Oh my God, I didn't never realize that they were that huge.
Oh yeah, they're huge trophies. And a lot of times the captain will just let it sit there. They'll look at it. They'll smile for the pictures. Everybody will skate around to it, but nobody will touch it. And it's actually dates back to the late 90s. The Philadelphia Flyers. We'll have to talk to Cash and Chris about this sometime. They just got done with the Philly Sports Talk show. Of course, they were talking a lot of Eagles, go figure. But they did find time for the Flyers Minute, the world-famous Flyers Minute, right at the end of the show. So the Flyers initiated when their captain chose to not touch the trophy. And it's just superstition, and it's gone on from there. Interestingly enough, SB Nation did a piece on this a few years ago about whether or not that actually makes any difference in your winning the Stanley Cup or not. And I'll save you the nitty-gritty. Basically, it doesn't have any effect. It doesn't lead to any better results. But
like statistically, they probably said, here's a correlation, this team touched it or didn't, and did they win the cup or not? And then they probably just extrapolated the data and tried to figure out if there was a trend or not, right?
Exactly. And basically what they found, they did it from 97 to 2006 and then 2007 to 2016. The article was written in 2017. And yeah, I mean, my goodness. Detroit had no problem touching the trophy. And let's see, it was the East was really superstitious. The West, really, it was Anaheim that bought in and kind of started that over in the West. But the Red Wings and the Avalanche, they had no problems. We'll grab the trophy. And look, we're going to go ahead and win the Stanley Cup too while we're at it, So there's not really data to back it up, but it's kind of just born into it's kind of just baked into everything now with hockey that, you don't touch the conference cups or conference trophies, because then
Sure.
if you do, you won't get to touch the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So there's no correlation there necessarily. But what about, so you mentioned two very prominent franchises, at least, back in the 90s, Red Wings and the Avalanche. So were they less superstitious if they were on one of these franchises that have won the Cup like a dozen times?
Well, that was right at the beginning of the Red Wings dynasty, wasn't it? 96, roughly? 96, 97? That's right towards the beginning of Detroit's dynastic run, right?
Well, true. I'm just thinking, like, throughout their entire history, overall, they've won how many Cups? Like,
that could be, yeah. And it was a new thing in 97 that all of a sudden, hey, you're not supposed to touch this thing. That's bad juju, bad luck.
right?
So they all had to adjust on the fly.
Yeah. In looking that up, I found two other fun tidbits. In terms of touching the trophy, the same goes for a player who has not won the Stanley Cup, visiting Toronto, like where the Stanley Cup's like permanent home is. Like if they went to go touch the Stanley Cup there, like that's definitely a big no-no. Like everybody apparently knows that they're not supposed to do that unless they actually win it.
Ah. Oh, and Taryn's chiming in, don't touch the Stanley Cup, but what if you want to eat cereal out of Lord Stanley's cup? I agree. When you win Stanley's Cup, you just, anything you want to do out of it, absolutely. It's the Campbell Bowl or the Prince of Wales trophies that you don't want to touch. Those are the superstitious ones. Stanley Cup, oh, no. Grab it and do whatever with it.
No, if you've won it. But if you haven't actually won it, they're saying it's bad superstition to touch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Like you want to wait to touch it until you've actually won it.
Well, okay. When would you get the opportunity to touch it if you haven't won it?
Well, they say there's like its permanent home is in like Toronto, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I could understand that. I probably wouldn't. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I haven't won it. I want to touch it, but I don't want to jinx myself, kind of thing. I get that. All right.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Okay.
I feel like Wayne's World. We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Yeah. Okay. I get where you're coming from with that now. Okay.
Yeah, it says, oh gosh, where is it? Don't touch the Stanley Cup until you win it. Let's see. You can look, but you can't touch. That's an honor a player has to earn. Even if they're seeing the Stanley Cup at its permanent home at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
Okay. But by the way, are fans allowed to touch it if they go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto?
It does not say, but I mean, if I'm not going to be a hockey player that's going to win the Stanley Cup. Like, of course, I would try to touch it.
Hell yeah! I mean,
right.
I'm assuming the answer is yes. In which, hey, Zach, this summer, Toronto,
road trip.
Road trip.
I mean, there's so much history in the cup alone. Like, you've got to touch it. Like,
oh yeah. Meanwhile, my wife would be actively trying to put ice cream into it so she could have an ice cream sundae.
Right. And then the other unwritten rule, not relating to trophies, always try to get your teammate that third goal. Whatever it takes. Extra pass, not having your own stat sheet padded, but go the extra mile to try and get your teammate that third hat trick completing goal.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. If you're on the ice and you know your teammate's got 2 goals, you are not shooting. Do not shoot. You make sure you set him up. Absolutely. That's the right thing to do.
Yep.
There was a game. Oh yeah, it was the Coyotes Golden Knights game that I was watching a couple weeks ago, where that exact scenario happened. Where I'd have to look up the players. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was a Coyote player that had 2 goals, and it was late in the game. Empty net, teammate had a clear shot at the empty cage, but passed so that his teammate could complete his hat trick. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's just good, being a good teammate.
Literally being a wingman.
Indeed. Okay, Taryn's giving... Taryn is contributing to us getting off track here. I love it. Taryn has come over to the dark side. He says he knows that you can't touch the Larry O'Brien trophy. He won tickets to a suite at a Lakers game. He was told emphatically, do not touch the trophies. He's always wondered why. I would imagine you don't want somebody breaking the damn fool thing.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was like, touching is a slippery slope to all sorts of other things that could break the trophy.
Touching leads to posing with it, leads to shenanigans, leads to, oh, look, the Lombardi trophy just wound up in the bottom of Tampa Bay, literally.
Because I tossed it from one ship to another.
Though, in all fairness, I do remember avocado tequila being involved in that incident.
Oh, gosh.
So, yes, I completely understand where they'd come from of saying, yeah, don't touch these. Look, but do not touch. There's to be no touching.
Yeah.
Oh, Taryn, there's nothing to forgive. You've been a loyal listener to this show. You know that we love to go in every direction. There's nothing to forgive for going off topic from hockey. All is well here, sir. There's nothing to forgive. There was something else, though, that occurred on Sunday that you made with football, that you made a hockey connection to. As we do try to steer the ship back into hockey a little bit, as we've got a few minutes left here. And Zach lost his train of thought of what it was.
Oh, no, I'm here. Are we talking about Bobby Hall?
No. I would say there was something else that happened on Sunday that you said, hey, there's a hockey connection there.
I thought it was just the trophies.
When San Francisco was forced to bring in an injured quarterback because they had nobody left.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, they earlier in the year they lost their first string. Then they lost their second string quarterback. So they're down to the third string quarterback at this point. And, quote unquote, Mr. Irrelevant. And he's done great for being a rookie. And, he got hurt in this playoff game this past Sunday. So then they had to bring up the fourth string, basically. And even he got hurt. So it's like, oh, good luck. Well, what do you do then? And, back in the day, they had different rules for how many players could dress and how many people on a active roster and all that. So that you could, in case of an injury, somebody could step in. But I guess they, instead of having like 3, they had like 4 or more quarterbacks. But that kind of brings up what you had said, that you're citing of a certain type of goalie.
Yeah, the EBUG. I mean, the NFL needs its version of the EBUG rule. And we got to have an EBUG sighting kind of, sort of, over the weekend in Edmonton. The EBUG, in case you don't know the acronym, it's the emergency backup goalie, where every home team is required to have somebody on site for every game, that in case the worst happens and the two goalies on one team both go down, there's somebody that they can emergency sign and get on the ice, and the game can continue so that you're not either playing a game with an empty net or forcing a defender to play a role they're not used to, things like that. And the NFL needs its version of that, and we'll get into that in another show. But we had kind of... Now, okay, I'll get your ruling on this, Zach, and Taryn chime in here too as well, and what you think. I'll set up the scenario. So this is in Edmonton. The Blackhawks and the Oilers. The Oilers, before the game, their backup goalie got hurt. So they went to their EBUG stable, and they said, okay, we don't need a starter. We need a backup, though. We need a backup. So they signed a young man who plays for the University of Alberta. I'm getting the names pulled up here. I'm sorry. Matt Berlin. He is part of their regular stable of emergency backups. Stuart Skinner gets sick, goes down. So they sign Matt Berlin. Jack Campbell makes the start. They get 2.5 minutes left in the game. Edmonton's up 7-3. And Edmonton decides, you know what? We've signed the kid. We're up by 4. There's 2.5 minutes left. What the heck? Get the kid out there. So Matt Berlin, who is a backup goalie for the University of Alberta, but is part of their stable of emergency backup goalies, gets to go out there and play the final 2.5 minutes of an NHL game against the Chicago Blackhawks.
How cool is that?
He faced one shot, and he stopped it. Now, does that count as an emergency backup goalie sighting, or is that more like in the NCAA tournament where the 1 seed is clobbering the 16 seed by 50 points, so they put in the graduate assistants for the final 30 seconds of the game so they can say, I got to be out on the court for an NCAA tournament game?
Well, I mean, from the sounds of it, I think it's emergency backup goalie because, they actually had somebody else they had to go sign from, the University of Alberta.
Okay, so that is an official EBUG sighting then?
I would say so. I mean, by definition. I mean, it's not not emergency in the sense that, oh my God, our starting goalie went down. But I would say anytime that you have to go out and sign somebody as an EBUG and they have to go into the game, it qualifies.
All right. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with calling it. Well, then, cool. We got to have an official EBUG sighting over the weekend.
Yay! Now, is it? You said it's one per franchise, basically?
Well, they need one person on site for every game. Most teams will have a stable of 3, 4, 5 guys that they'll rotate throughout the course of the season of who's on duty that night. They don't have just one guy that, hey, you're going to be here for all 41 of our home games and be our emergency backup, because they do have to have lives, unfortunately.
Yeah, true. But for instance, if you talk about both goalies, so if both goalies got hurt for Edmonton and the Blackhawks, and all the backup goalies got hurt, so then you put the EBUG in, but if there's only one on duty per game, do you then are you limited to only using half the ice, and the goalie has to switch and be a goalie for Edmonton one half and goalie for Chicago the other half.
He's got to skate from one net to the other. Get out of his way. I would actually enjoy watching that, frankly. That would be incredibly entertaining to watch the goalie try to skate from one red line to the other and get there ahead of the puck.
It's anything like what I experienced growing up, playing floor hockey or playing soccer. It's like, well, you're a bigger dude. We gave you the goalie position because, you can block more of the goal. You're not as likely to be as athletic. So it would be even more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
When you put it into that perspective.
Yeah. There's a reason you're getting picked for goalie. It's usually because of your size and having a certain set of skills. We'll put it that way. We'll be nice about it.
Are we going taken with this?
Sure.
I have a certain set of skills.
Sure. We'll go that way with it. Oh, man. We had 2 of the 3 games tonight went into overtime. The Hurricanes just came back to beat the Kings in overtime, 5-4. Sorry, Taryn. Carolina scored 3 times in the third period to tie it. And then Sebastian Aho on the power play won it with under a minute left to go. And then meanwhile, the Capitals and the Blue Jackets are headed to a shootout. It's tied at 3. And then the Senators came back and beat the Canadiens 5-4 tonight. So lots of fun happening there.
Lots of high scores. Holy crap, yeah.
Lots of high scoring tonight. Brady Tkachuk got the winning goal. For Ottawa with a minute and 18 seconds left to go in the game.
Yeah.
Nice job over there for Ottawa. Oh, the Capitals did win in overtime. Correction on the app here. I don't have the winner yet, but it is 4-3 Capitals, end of overtime. So somebody for Washington scored. I'll have to come back to see who it was. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, a couple of goals tonight, though, for the Capitals. Nice to see the defensive men scoring again. Let's see. The winning goal was Kuznetsov.
Ah, okay.
Evgeny Kuznetsov got the winner. His 7th of the season. So all 3 games have gone final on us tonight.
You talked about the Canes. Well, they sent the Bruins to a 3rd straight loss in a top 2 showdown this past weekend.
Yeah. What has happened with the Bruins? I realize a 3-game losing streak is not uncommon in the NHL, but the Bruins had only lost, 5 games all season?
Yeah.
What is going on with Boston? I know that was something you wanted to talk about tonight. What is happening?
Right. Hurricanes coach Rod Brindamore said, "We know that team is the cream of the crop. They're laughing everybody right now. And I think this was a good test."
Yeah.
Sebastian Aho, he scored the game-winning goal. He scored a goal in the 4th straight game. And the Hurricanes beat the Bruins 4-1 on Sunday in a matchup of teams with 2 best records in the NHL. Aho is quoted as saying, "There's a reason why they're at the top of the standings, so we needed to bring our best." Saturday's overtime loss at Florida. The Bruins suffered consecutive losses for the first time this season. So this turned out to be an unusual weekend. Boston goalie Linus Ullmark says, on a back-to-back like this, you have to rely on your goaltender to make enough saves, and unfortunately, I didn't do that. Boston was also a season worst 0 for 6 on power plays, now having failed to score with a man advantage in its past 3 games.
And that's just crazy to look. Not only is, because you look at it, Boston, yes, they're 81 points in 50 games this season. They've only lost 7 times in regulation all season. They have a goal differential of plus 78 right now. They're obliterating their opponents right now. So I'm sure that ultimately this is going to be nothing but a blip on the radar overall in their season, but it is shocking to see that they've gotten 1 point in their last 3 games heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah. This is a team we pegged as, Stanley Cup favorites.
Yeah. And they've got a chance to fix it tomorrow night. They play Toronto in Toronto. They've got a chance to right the ship before the All-Star break. They're one of the last 2 games. You've got them and Carolina plays in Buffalo tomorrow night, and the second end of a back-to-back for the Hurricanes. But yeah, it's just bizarre for Boston.
Yeah. Bruins coach Jim Montgomery said, "They're good at pressuring you everywhere. Their checking led to turnovers, and we didn't generate enough chances."
They had opportunities. 6 times on the power play. There's plenty of opportunities there. You just got to capitalize on them.
Yeah. And said they play a simple, straightforward hockey that works for them. You got to be honest with yourself and bring your best. That's what everybody does to us right now. They're getting everybody's best shot. They got the target on their back.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely do. They've also, for the rest of the season, they've, every time somebody's come at them, they've been able to counter punch. They've been able to block and counter punch and knock them to the mat too. So,
yeah.
And like I said, it's a 3-game. It's a 3-game skid. That's really not something to panic over. No. It's just alarming that it's, wait a minute, Boston 3. I made the comment the other night on Twitter. What are we in the Twilight Zone? We had Chicago, Anaheim, and Arizona all win on the same night, and Boston lost.
Go figure, yeah.
Yeah, that's just,
like you said, it's not the end of the world. It's not unheard of. It's an 82-game season?
Right, yeah.
So 3 in a row is not a huge deal, but for just looking at the circumstances, like you said, that was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I had to do a double take.
Yeah, it's not even 5% of their season, 3 games. It's a tiny blip on the radar. But yeah, it's shocking. It's just, whoa. They came down to earth they came down into the atmosphere for just a minute.
Right.
You're having a good season when a 3-game losing skid is enough to get everybody's attention of, whoa, what's wrong with you? Right,
yeah. It's like Alabama losing 2 games in a season.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That kind of a thing.
Oh my God, the end of the world.
Yeah. All right, so we have just a few minutes left here before we turn things over to Cale Henderson and Sin City Sports. And I know we had a couple of things that we wanted to, some ideas for tonight. What did you want to do? What did you want to do next, Zach? Because we've got about 6 minutes left.
Let's go with Golden Jet, and you can take it away since you had some experience talking about it yesterday.
All right, we'll do the Golden Jet, and then we'll probably that'll wrap us up. So, Bobby Hull, and I talked about this last night on Chi-Town Weekly as well. Bobby Hull, one of the great legends of hockey, passed away yesterday at the age of 84. Like so many things with the Blackhawks, though, it's not just simple and cut and dried. Bobby Hull is a legendary hockey player. He's still the franchise leader in goals, power play goals, points. He's got a statue out front of United Center. He's a hockey player worth remembering. The man, not so much. And it's hard to differentiate and understand where to separate the two. Suffice to say, the man definitely had some questionable things. Accused of domestic abuse by 2 of his 3 wives. Had charges pressed against him for attacking a police officer. Was ultimately fined for that. Was somebody that the Blackhawks ultimately asked to no longer be one of their team ambassadors a few years ago. So certainly somebody, it's one of those, you don't want to get to know your heroes too well kind of a thing. But on the ice, oh my goodness, the Golden Jet, he and Stan Mikita were the Taves and Kane of their generation, late 50s to very early 70s. They were the superstars. They were the average better than a point a night kind of guys. And Hull was a huge part of that. I mean, he had a slap shot that was registered at 118 miles per hour, if you can imagine that.
Ooh.
And this is in the
gosh.
days before helmets and masks were required. There was one goalie that took a slap shot from Bobby Hull that he said the goalie said the only reason he didn't die was because he took the flat part of the puck against his face instead of the edge of the puck.
Ooh.
604 career goals, and it could have been higher. He had a 6-year stretch there where he wasn't playing in the NHL. In the midst of his career, he became the first hockey player in professional history to sign a $1 million deal. It was with the Winnipeg Jets of the Western Hockey Association. So he left the NHL and went and played in a competing league with the NHL. And so those goals don't count towards his NHL goal category.
Wow.
This is definitely, from a hockey standpoint, this is a Gretzky before Gretzky kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I did find it funny too. It was a $1.75 million deal. Well, it was paid out over 10 years. So it's $175,000 a year, which was unheard of money for a hockey player. I wanted to look up how much money that would be in today's dollars.
Yeah, true.
I'm doing that real fast.
Well,
let's see, $100. So
this
would
Bobby Hull went up to take a slap shot. Fans throughout the NHL rose to their feet in anticipation, and opposing goaltenders braced themselves. During his prime, there was no more prolific goal scorer in all of hockey. That's from Gary Bettman.
Yep. So terrific hockey. Unfortunately, not necessarily a great person, but a terrific hockey player, and he will. His legend will be missed. That's going to do it for us tonight here on the Neutral Zone as the horn sounds. Lots of craziness tonight. No serious technical glitches, but still some oddball stuff that we had to work through. So thank you for being patient with us while we do that. I want to say thank you again to all of our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Be sure to go to our website, iesportsradio.com, where you can find our Patreon link and help out there. Thank you to Larry B. for all the hard work he does behind the scenes of the station, getting everything prepped and moving and getting going in a forward direction. We really do appreciate that. And for all the hard work on the website. It looks good. It looks really nice on there now. Thank you to Taryn for hanging out with us during this in the chat room, interacting with us a little bit there with that. For Zach Puplis, I am Adam Karnick. I will be back next week. Zach, you're on doing Lions, Tigers, and Wings Oh My on Thursday, but then you're going to be off next Tuesday, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so next Tuesday it'll be just me. We're going to be talking All-Star festivities a little bit. Zach had a great story about the Premier Hockey League. We will definitely get into that. It is a great story worth talking about. The one active professional women's hockey league in North America had 8 players sign with a top agency here in the United States, so we will definitely be talking about that next week. Outstanding progress being made there. And also just some other stuff about the Premier Hockey League itself. They're trying to double their salary cap for next season, make some progress there. Good stuff all around there. We'll have that, plus we'll be ready to start the second half of the season and see who's ready to make the playoff push. All that and more coming up next, though. It's Sin City Sports with Cale Henderson breaking down all things Las Vegas. That's coming up right next here on IE Sports Radio. For Zach, I'm Adam. We are the Neutral Zone. Until next week, stay out of the penny box. Have a good one.